It started the way many ordinary evenings do, with laughter echoing from a company party, the kind meant to melt away work stress and replace it with silly games and warm smiles. I had been out with my coworkers, and after the party began to wind down, I got a call from my wife. She sounded light-hearted, relaxed. I offered to pick her up and she agreed. During the drive home, she told me snippets about her night, how her team had joined forces with another department for games like charades, even some friendly competitions. She said they had won a certificate, and it felt refreshing to see her colleagues outside the rigid walls of office life. Then she yawned, a small, tired sound, just as we pulled into the driveway. I didn't push for more. She seemed fine. In the days that followed, life returned to its usual rhythm. We worked, shared meals, binge-watched a series or two. But slowly, quietly, a shift began to creep into her demeanor. In the mornings she seemed tense. Her smile didn't quite reach her eyes. Her hands trembled ever so slightly as she poured her coffee, as if some invisible weight rested on her shoulders. I asked her gently if something was wrong. She laughed, too fast, too loudly, and changed the subject. I didn't press. I wanted to trust her. But my instincts had already begun to whisper. Then one evening, as casually as one might suggest a new recipe, she asked if I could start picking her up from work. "You pass close by anyway," she said, shrugging. I agreed, but the sudden request struck me as odd. Still, I didn't push. I wanted to believe if something was troubling her, she'd eventually tell me. And for a while it looked like maybe I'd been overthinking. Her smiles grew more genuine again, and the light in her eyes began to return. I let myself believe the storm had passed, whatever it was. Then came the day I arrived earlier than usual to pick her up. She was already outside, nervously pacing the curb. The moment she saw me, she rushed to the car, threw open the door, and got in quickly. Her eyes darted around. Her breathing was shallow. I asked again what was going on. "Nothing," she said a little too firmly. Defensive. I didn't push. But the pieces didn't fit anymore. That night, as we stepped inside the house, a sharp knock thundered against the door. Not a polite tap. It was loud, urgent, desperate. My wife froze. Her face lost all color. I reached the door just as a disheveled man shoved his way inside, fury written all over his face. He was shouting, accusing her, throwing words like knives. He claimed she had led him on, that she had promised him something and then backed out. He said she had slept with him, used him, and expected it all to vanish like a bad dream. I stepped between them. My heart was pounding, my mind spinning. "What the hell are you doing?" I snapped. He turned to me, breathing hard. "Ask her. She knows." It took every ounce of restraint I had to shove him out the door and slam it shut behind him. Then I turned to my wife, demanding the truth. She didn't fight me. She didn't deny it. Instead, she led me into the kitchen, sat at the edge of a chair like it was made of thorns, and broke down into sobs. Between tears and broken sentences, she told me what had happened that night at the party. They had played truth or dare, and someone dared her to kiss him. At the time, she said, it felt like harmless fun, just part of the silly, booze-fueled chaos of an office party. But for him it wasn't harmless. She admitted that he had harbored feelings for her long before that night. That one kiss had lit a fuse, and he had mistaken it as permission, confirmation that he had a chance. He began to pursue her, text her, linger by her desk. It wasn't flirtation, it was obsession. She didn't know how to stop it. That's why she had asked me to pick her up, so she wouldn't be alone at the end of the day. I listened, barely breathing. Then I asked the question that had lodged itself in my throat. "What did he mean when he said you slept with him?" She fell silent. Long enough for the clock's second hand to start sounding like thunder. Then, with her voice no louder than a breath, she said, "I gave in. I thought it would make him stop." It felt like the ground cracked beneath me. She said she hoped that giving him what he wanted would be the end of it. That he would lose interest. That it would just go away. But it didn't. And she had no idea what to do next. She was terrified I'd leave. Terrified of the fallout. So she said nothing. And now I had to leave, not forever, not yet, but to think. I packed a small bag and stayed with a friend for a few nights. I needed space to breathe, to think without her presence clouding everything. I kept asking myself, why didn't she come to me sooner? Why didn't she trust me enough to tell me the truth? Did she really think this would fix anything? The pain was sharp. Not just because of what happened, but because it could have been avoided. If she had been honest. If I had paid closer attention. If either of us had just acted sooner. But hindsight is cruel that way. What started as a foolish party game, a kiss meant to be meaningless, spiraled into betrayal, heartbreak, and a haunting sense of what if. A chain of choices, each one made in fear or silence, became something unrecognizable. Something tragic. It was a hard lesson. One I'll never forget. Because sometimes the deepest wounds aren't the ones left by strangers. They're left by those who once promised never to hurt you.